If you are looking for an analog idea to capture and organize your ideas around a big project, then I have a technique that you might be interested in, one that I'm calling the Shoebox Method. I am currently using this method for one of my big projects, a new course here at Verbal to Visual, and I thought I'd describe for you the details of what this thing is all about. The primary container for this method is a box that is about the size of a shoebox, but it's actually custom made to hold 3x5 index cards. And the idea here is that you can use one of these boxes for each big project that you're working on. Here's the specific box that I'm using, which I've linked to down below if you want to pick it up. I've labeled it with the title Build an Online Course because that's the resource I'm working on. What's nice is it's got this slider built in here to keep your index cards upright. And as you fill the box with more and more cards, more and more ideas, you can keep moving that slider back. So that is the container for ideas, but the next question is, what do you actually put inside it? To start, I've been using just blank white index cards to capture the individual ideas that are going to make it into this course that I'm building. So these are the ideas that come to you as you're working on your project. And what I like about index cards is that they're kind of the perfect size. There's enough space to include one idea per card, and I've been including a mini sketch note on the front of that card, something like an icon or a scene or a diagram with supporting text. And then if I need to, I can add more details on the back of that card. Here are a few examples. It's nothing fancy here, nothing polished, just some visual cues to the idea and a little bit of text to remind me of the details. There's a second style of index card that I'm using in conjunction with those blank white cards. And those are color tabbed index cards that I'm using to group those related white cards as structure emerges in the project that I'm working on. So at first you might just be getting a bunch of ideas as they come on those white index cards, but when you start to see how you might group those cards, give some structure to your project, that's where these color index cards come in handy. In my case, since I'm developing an educational resource, I'm using this second category of index card to identify each unit within the course that I'm building. In this case, the first unit is about defining the audience you're making your course for, the transformation you hope to take that audience through, and the mode of delivery. The second unit is about brainstorming the ideas that will make it into your course. The third, actually drafting the lessons. The fourth, producing them. And the fifth, delivering them. So once you've identified the structure of the project you're working on, you can add that structure to your shoebox, and then you have a place to put each new idea that you add to it, depending on where it fits within that structure. In addition to those two main categories of cards, there are a few other specific ones that I've been using to help me move my project along. The first is a single index card that I add to the front of the box that includes next steps. It's a to-do list to remind me what I might want to tackle next for this project. That's been a helpful way to maintain momentum day to day each time that I grab this box off the shelf and get to work. In this case, I'm processing the first iteration of this course, which I delivered live in an online workshop format. So here I'm keeping track of which of those workshop lessons I've already added to this shoebox and what is the next one to tackle. And as your project grows, as you add more and more details, more and more different sections, I also think it might be helpful to add a single card at the beginning of each section that summarizes what that section is all about, to give an overview of the ideas within it, to make it easier to jump into the ideas within that section when you need to. Right now I'm using the tabbed cards themselves to capture some of those details, but once those sections feel more or less full, I'll be creating a section summary like what I just described. So with that as the general process overview of this shoebox method, let me next describe some of the benefits, why I find this particular method to be useful. First of all, we've got the ease and flexibility of adding new ideas to your project. For me, those 3x5 index cards are a really helpful size constraint. You have enough space to get the idea down, but not so much that you get lost in the details. And with each blank card, you have the ability to pick the best suited visual form of the idea. This is where your sketchnoting skills come into play. You get to decide whether the idea that you're capturing can be best represented with a scene or a diagram or even just a powerful single phrase. And because of the small size and low price of index cards, if you're not happy with your first attempt at capturing that idea, you can throw it in the recycling bin and just grab another. The second primary benefit of this method is that you have the ability to restructure the ideas of this big project of yours as you gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Because often it's not until you dig into the nuanced details of a project that you really understand what's going on from a big picture perspective. And with this method, you can go back and forth between those details and the big picture. As you continue adding new details, you might realize that your first structure isn't quite right. And with this method, you have the ability to reorganize those detailed cards and bring in some new section headers with those color cards that better represent the structure that you actually see. And for me, part of the appeal of this method is that at the end of a work session, I can literally put a lid on the box, put it back on my shelf, maybe even stack some books on top of it, and be done with it for the day. It's that ease of walking away from the project and the ease of returning to it that appeals to me. And though there are digital tools that allow you to do similar things as what I've described here on your phone or tablet or computer, for me, I much prefer to work in this analog way, using pen and paper, making physical marks on cards, literally moving those cards around. That is a more helpful extension of my brain and what I'm thinking about than working on a screen. So if you are working on your own big project and these ideas sound appealing to you, then give this Shoebox Method a try. Maybe you've got a course that you are building, a book that you are writing, a presentation that you're about to give. See if this analog modular way of working with those ideas is a helpful way for you to manage both the details and the big picture of whatever it is you're working on. If you do use this method, be sure to let me know how it goes. And if you'd like a bit more support in the development of your sketchnoting skills to effectively capture your ideas on those index cards, then check out the courses available at verbaltovisual.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Till then.